again. So my name is Julie Robb. I'm the Community Relations Representative here at Ida Culver House, Broadview. Thank you for joining us for today's presentation, The Hidden Magic Inside Your iPhone with Bridget Agabra. Thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. I know we have been doing webinars for quite a while now, so thank you for understanding that we wish we could have these in person, but unfortunately we're still doing these things online. But I think that we're able to reach quite a few more people doing it this way, which is awesome. So if you have any questions about how the Zoom is working for you, or if you have questions, you can just type it in the chat and we can address that there. Throughout the presentation, if you have questions, I recommend that you put them in the chat. I'll keep track of all the questions through the chat, and then Bridget will be answering questions at the end of her presentation. So that way we can keep track of them. All right, so let's see. I want to put up a little bio of Bridget here. So Bridget is, she's coming to us from her company, gentletechhelp.com. So we are super excited. This is my first time seeing anything like this, so I feel like I'm going to learn a whole bunch about my iPhone, so I'm super excited about that. All right, so I am going to, again, this is just kind of a wrap up of putting your questions in the chat if you have them, and we'll get to them at the end. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to pass it over to Bridget.
Okay. Thank you so much, Julie. And I'm thinking maybe I'm not the only one whose hairstyle has changed a little bit over the pandemic. So if you notice a little difference, yeah, that was still me. And I do come from gentletechhelp.com. I have a background in video games and in gerontology. I have a certificate in gerontology and tech writing. And I work with the tech uncomfortable seniors and the tech uncomfortable. So my specialty is speaking tech in a normal language that regular people can understand and feel comfortable with. I am going to, can you guys see my screen? I'm going to just share my phone real quickly, and that's what you're going to want to be able to see. You're going to want to be able to see my phone, and give me just a minute. There won't be anything interesting on it for a bit, but let me just get it going. Okay, so does everybody see this cemetery in Ireland where some ancestors are? Because that's what you're going to want to see. You're going to want to see this as we go on. Okay, and again, we will do some questions at the end. I'm going to move around a little territory. I'm going to move around a little territory here so that I can see this. All right. I am not able to see your faces during this, so please write down your questions. We definitely have questions time afterwards. So I love giving this class because whether you purchased your iPhone or whether you got, maybe it was a hand-me-down from a family member who upgraded their phone. Either way, these are very expensive devices. And if you're just using it as a phone or some texting, you have a very expensive phone that you're not using all the features of. So I love telling people about some things here that they don't know about. And usually there's something that people don't know about here. So this class is a follow along class. Pick up your phone and get ready to follow along. If you don't want to follow along, or if you get, a little held back at some point, my phone keeps darkening up. There will be very, very explicit instructions emailed to you after the class. Boy, oh boy, it's just darkening all the time. So there'll be very explicit instructions to follow what we did today. So don't worry if you get a little, tangled up or something. There'll be step-by-step instructions. So this will be very practical information, and it's really fun, and you will get a lot more value out of your expensive piece of electronics here. So the first thing I like to tell people about is the ability to add health. My computer's doing something. The ability to add health and medical information in a way that's a bit like a life alert, a little bit like a life alert, and people don't always know about that. Oh, let me back up and say this beforehand. Apple releases a new phone just about every year, and just about every year they do a major update of their operating system, the software that's involved with all new features and things. And and each time they release a phone, they release like 2 or 3 different versions of the phone, like a super phone with a lot of cameras, and then a more modest phone. And then, so the range of phones and operating systems we have with our 57 people in this room, it is unlikely that 3 of us have the same phone. So your phone may have a little different setup than this. It may have some different features. An older phone that isn't yet running operating system 15 may or may not have some of these, but I tried to pick features that are available for most phones. But again, over the last dozen years, there are so many variations that it might not exactly be the same for your phone. All right, so let's step into the health and medical information that we can add. Why might we add this? Well, there's going to be 2 choices when we get to the end of this that are going to make it, kind of important. So one thing is you could put in your medication and your health conditions and things, and you can set it up so that that is available for someone to see without knowing your passcode. So you know how you have the little passcode that unlocks your phone, and please tell me everybody has that, right? So you have to either show your face, your thumbprint, or put in a few numbers to open up your phone. Well, if you are in, let's say, a car accident or something where you're not able to open your phone, first responders know that they can. I'm going to show you. I have to do it in a way that it can't see my face. See the word emergency down in the bottom left-hand corner of my phone? Now my phone's locked. Nobody can get in and do anything. But by tapping emergency, somebody can call 911, which is good. Like, please, people, call 911. But there's this one that says medical ID down at the bottom, on this bottom right. Because I have it set up this way, somebody can tap that and get my medical information. They are not going to get into anything else on my phone, but I really want people to be able to get to my medical information. So that's a choice you can make once you put your information in it. There's also an option. Some emergency stations, some first responding stations, don't know if there's any locally. I assume the one in Cupertino, California, where Apple is located, has this. But there are some emergency places where when you call 911 from the phone, if you've given permission, they can suck that information out and have it be with the first responders so that they know when they show up at your house, you have a heart condition, you're on this medication, whatever. So that's an option to turn on too. I think those 2 things for me make it a no-brainer to be able to set that up, but you can choose whether or not those options exist. Okay. Let's get going. So on your phone, on every iPhone, let me move things around just a little bit. Okay. On every iPhone, you're going to see this little health app. It's white with a red heart, and it's called Health. It's part of their standard stuff. If you don't see it, so look around on a couple of pages here. If you don't see it, right, because maybe no one could have more icons than I do, but let's say you don't see it for whatever reason. This is a little free tip. Keep swiping all the way to your left, past all your pages of icons, and you come to this very last one. It's called App, it has App Library at the top, and it's a way to just type in the word. I'm typing in the word health, and there it finds it. So even if I couldn't find the icon on my desktop, you could find it this way. So health, boy, health, you could do 2 hours just on this health app alone. but we're going to look at one particular aspect of it, which is the health medical information. Right. So once you open your health app, if you've never opened it before, Apple is going to be giving you these pages that say, hey, let us introduce you to it. If you want, you can go through and do that now, or you could set your phone down and do that later. Once you get through all that, it'll let you see this. But they tend to want to handhold you through a bit of it. But you can always go back and watch this video and look at your notes. So if you are able to get to this page, I just opened my health. Down at the bottom, it says summary and sharing and browse. I tapped on that little icon browse on the right side. Now it says browse at the top. And up here in the right-hand corner, there's a picture of me. If you haven't put your picture in yet, no problem. It might have your initial. It's going to be a little circle. It might just be a little silhouette of a person's face, or it might be your initial. And I'm going to tap on that. And now I'm on this page, which is me. I'm the star of this page. And what I'd like to do on this page is work with the health details and medical ID. So let's tap on health details. Here's where we put in the basics. And in the way to do that, in the upper right-hand corner, you see that word edit up here, edit. I'm going to tap on edit. Now I can change my name. I did change my birth date. This is not my actual birth date because this is going to be on video on the internet. You put in your sex, your blood type. It's always interesting, this Fitzpatrick skin type, and I've taught this class with a doctor in it. Your Fitzpatrick skin type is just basically your skin color. And she is a retired doctor. She said she'd never heard of it used in any circumstances. So I don't set my skin color. I find that a very interesting choice. You can choose whether or not you use a wheelchair. This isn't really relevant to an emergency situation. Maybe it's important information. But down here at the bottom, medications that affect your heart rate. If you do take these, tap it to fill it in, or don't tap it. Let me make sure that I put in females. So I don't take those, but if you do, that's a really good thing for a first responder to know. And when you're all done with this, you tap done. And then we're tapping in the upper corner back to the profile. Now we get into the more juicy stuff, which is the medical ID. And we're going to tap edit. And here we are putting medical conditions, medications. This is where you put a lot of information in. Now, if you choose to not have it available for the first responders, that's okay too. It can just be helpful when you're at the doctor's office to go, oh, here's the medication I'm taking. Here's my recent height and weight and things, you know. Here's something that's really good. So this is kind of obvious. You put down your medical conditions. You can just tap in the area that's medical notes, and you can just hit the backspace and just type in whatever you want. And obviously your blood type and your height and weight, or your weight, you know, maybe before the pandemic, like the hair, you know, things change. This emergency contacts is really good, right? Because these people that are chosen as emergency contacts are going to show up in your contact list with this big red star next to their names. I think it's great to have emergency contacts. Okay, how do you add an emergency contact? First thing, make sure that they're in your contact list. Like, you know, when you make a phone call, make sure that you're in the contact list. All right. I'm not going to show you how to put it in the contact list, but I'll just show you really quick the contact list. It's pretty straightforward. If you've used an address book, looks like this. If you used an address book, you can do this. It's also in your phone contacts. Okay. Let me go back to health. So make sure that the person's already in your contact list. And you're going to see add emergency contact. Tap on it. I'm going to tap on this person, Ariana. I'm going to tap on a relationship. I'll put son. And now Ariana is listed as a son in emergency contact. Now, as it happens, Ariana is not a son of mine. The other two are. So I'm going to hit the little minus and delete. And all it does is delete it from here. Okay. Then these last two questions are the ones I talked about in the beginning. Show when locked, which was, you know, if the circumstance arrives that even I have a friend who was in a car accident. She wasn't injured at all, but she was so shaken up that she literally couldn't remember the 4 numbers to unlock her phone to make an emergency call. She was just shook up. So she wasn't able to tell them how to get in and contact her family. So this, where it says emergency access, show when locked, is turned on. You just tap the little button, and green means off, and green means on, and gray means off. So green means go. In my case, I would like it to show in an emergency if they know to do that. And I would also like them to share it during an emergency services call if I happen to have an emergency somewhere where that's possible. I'd like that. But that's your personal choice. And when you're done with this, you hit done. And I was helping somebody. It's actually helping my cousin in Los Angeles set this up, and her brother is a cardiopulmonary physician there. And he walked in as we were doing this, and she was setting up the emergency thing. And he goes, "Oh yeah, the Apple emergency info. Yeah, we all use that." So there you go, doctor's note on. Okay. The notes are very specific on this. Obviously, this isn't something you can do in the 5 minutes we just did, but hopefully you were able to follow along in such a way that you'll feel comfortable peeking into it. This is so fun. So that had to do with, life and death emergency. This is so much fun. Not every phone will have this, but many, many phones will have this. You have a ruler and you have a carpenter's level in your phone. And it is really fun to play with this. So on your phone, you're going to look for the app called Measure. Measure. It looks like a ruler. It's black. And again, if you can't find it, you can go in the back here, go all the way past all of your screens of icons and tap the word Measure up here. Sometimes people haven't known what it is and they delete it. And some phones will not be able to do this. If your phone is, the recent SEs can do it, the original SEs can't. I think the original 6s can't. It depends on some of the hardware inside. But I think from 8 up, they can all do it. You're going to tap Measure. And Measure is going to give you a screen that looks a bit like this. Now you're looking at my wall. If you look at the very bottom of my screen, this odd little spaceship thing, you'll see Measure and Level. So tap Measure, make sure you're on Measure. Now what this does is it uses LiDAR. It uses a kind of remote sensing to make a measurement. And I will show you how to do it. So here's a picture of a cat and Mount Fuji and the Space Needle. How cute is that? I am taking my phone and the dot in the center of the circle, that dot is my target. And I want to hold my phone very still, and I'm going to tap the plus. Now I'm starting, and I'm lifting my phone. I'm lifting my phone up, up, up to the top of the frame and tapping on it. I can see that it is 16 inches. You see how the measurement shows there in the middle? And I want to see the width of it. I'm going to go back down to the corner, tap on it, drag, and I'm moving my phone. It's important that I don't just move the camera. I'm moving my whole phone and tap on it again. 13 inches. So using my phone, I've measured a 16 by 13 frame. And I'm going to clear that. Why is that good? You know what? If you are measuring something in your living room, if you're measuring something in a furniture store, I'm just going to set this up against the wall real quick. So there we go. When you're measuring something, I mean, you have your phone with you. You may not have that giant big metal measuring tape. If you're downsizing, you know, you really don't need the giant yardstick for the once every 6 years you need a yardstick to measure a couch, right? You've got it here. So that's pretty fun, and lots of people don't know about that. Next thing is the carpenter's level. And honestly, if there's a certain kind of person, and I'm that kind of person who loves using this little toy. All right, I'm going to tap on the level, carpenter's level. And this is pretty boring. But what you see is, as I'm moving my hand, it measures just like that green water with a bubble in it. How would I use this? Let's pretend this is a picture. I take the top of my phone and I push it up against the picture, and it's perfectly level. I'm going to do it. You can't see the cat picture, but I'm going to tip the cat picture a little to the side. Uh-oh, it's not leveled. I'm moving it. That's great. And I'll show you with a Post-it note. You guys see the Post-it note? Okay, this is my beautiful artwork. I put the phone right up against the bottom of it, and it's at a terrible angle. You can see on my phone, and you can see on the camera. Well, I'm going to nudge the picture around and hold this up to the bottom. And you can see it's perfectly level. If you are this kind of person, you will now, after this class, you will walk around your house and level everything. Okay, because everything, and you go, ooh, you can kind of have a little game with yourselves. Like, okay, it looks level. I'm going to try and level it first, and then use the carpenter's level. Right, that's just fun, and the ruler is very handy. I would not do carpentry with the ruler, right? I wouldn't go out and start cutting wood based on that 16 by 13, right? But I could get a picture frame that's 16 by 13. I know that that's a 16 by 13 frame. Okay. And we can do questions afterwards. The next thing that I'd like to talk about is using your phone as a scanner. Now, this is different from taking a picture. So sometimes an organization wants you to scan a document or scan your driver's license. Sometimes they're okay with you taking a picture and emailing it in, but sometimes it needs to be scanned. And what's the difference? A scan turns out a PDF. It's a kind of computer file that it's less easy for people to change. And some, governments, a lot of the state of Washington agencies, if they ask you to submit something, it can only be submitted as a PDF, right? Pictures can be altered more easily, picture files, than PDFs. So when somebody wants you to scan something, you don't need to have on your desk that big old giant scanner again that you use, once every 8 months to scan, I don't know, some document for taxes. You've got a scanner that will scan to PDF in your phone. Okay. So how to get there? On your phone, you're going to look for notes. And this, pretty sure almost every phone is going to do this one. So notes looks like a little piece of ruled paper. Has a little yellow top and white with gray lines. Again, if you can't find it, go back over all the way past where you think you can go, and you can write the word notes up at the top and tap on notes. Notes comes with all versions of the phone and the software. Down in the bottom right-hand corner is a little symbol that I call a pencil and paper because I grew up with a pencil and paper, but I'm sure Apple refers to as a stylus and screen or something. It means make something new, make a new document, right? I call it a pencil and paper, and I'm the boss. So there I tapped my pencil and paper. This one's a pretty fun one to follow along with. Tap pencil and paper. Now here's a keyboard and all kinds of things. There's a camera. I'm going to tap on the camera, and then I'm going to tell it I would like to scan a document. Now, first I'm going to do this verbally because I'm going to have to stand up and physically hold the phone over the document. So I'll tell you first. I'm going to tell it to scan a document. I'm going to hold it up over the document. And when I hold it steady enough, you know, because we're human beings, it's going to turn a little bit yellow and it'll go boop and take the picture. And I'll tell it to save the picture, but it's not a picture, it's a scan. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to tell it to scan document. Now it turns on the camera. Did you see what it just did? And I'm just holding it still. Okay, save. So all I had to do was stand up and hold it still. And it did it. So what does it do? What else does a scan do besides just be a PDF? It cut out the background. It cut out the background. So it's just a document. And I want to, that one. I'm just going to keep this one of them. So I just threw away one of them with a little trash can. So now I've got this very boring back of a bank statement. All right, now what do I do with it? It's on my phone. What do I do with it? I am going to see how it says page 2 of 2. It took a guess at what this should be called because the first thing it sees is page 2 of 2. So I tapped on page 2 of 2 up at the top, and I'm going to call this test scan. Save. So now you can see the title of it is called test scan. Now what do I do with it? Well, I could do a bunch of things with it. What I usually do, because I'm me, there's so many things you can do. And again, I teach for the tech uncomfortable. You could save it into your Apple files, or you could send it to your iCloud, whatever. If you're somebody who wants to do something more complex with it, this is where you do that. If you are not, I can just tap Gmail and I can send it to myself. And now I've got it on my big computer. If you're somebody who uses both a phone and a computer, I can do that. I can also text it to somebody if I had, again, if I wanted to save it to my Apple files and things. But what I'm normally telling people is you can mail it to yourself and then put it wherever you would normally do it. Because if you're used to using the big giant scanner like that, that's normally hooked up to your computer, it's putting it somewhere. So use this, email it to yourself, and then save that to that same somewhere. Okay. And it really works. It really works. And if you think about how much space those big dusty scanners take up, oh my gosh. All right. So if you have a big dusty scanner, you can now go get yourself something pretty and put it right there instead of that scanner. And our last, but definitely not least, hidden magic thing includes Bisquick. Maybe not Bisquick exclusively, but Bisquick is my prop. All right, so you can use your phone easily now. You used to have to get another app for it. So you can use a QR code, and these QR codes are different from the barcodes. You know, when you see a barcode like this, that's not a QR code. That's for the store to use. It scans that and it tells it what it is. This is not that, not the one with the lines. This is the one that looks like, I don't know. I don't know what this looks like, but it's a QR code. So this is for those. Those are a shortcut to a website. It's like having a website address that your phone can just go right to. Why would you want that? Well, Weight Watchers, like the Weight Watchers app, uses this so that you can scan a product and go right and get the information for it. So for Bisquick, I don't know if you could see, my camera is going to focus right on the Bisquick box. There's a little QR code. And all you have to do is turn on your open your camera. Make sure that like it didn't even take half a second. See how it says bisquick.com? I tap on that and now I'm going to Bisquick. And boy, oh boy, does this stuff look good. All right. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be lunchtime to want these dumplings. All right. So you can use this QR code in all kinds of places. What I urge you not to do is, let's say you're walking around downtown Seattle. You might see a QR code stapled up on a utility pole. The odds are pretty good it's going to take you somewhere where you wouldn't normally want to go, right? It's a shortcut to a website. So it may take you, just like anything else, don't go somewhere where you don't know. If I'm looking at something on the Bisquick box, I know I'm going to go to Bisquick or General Mills or something. Something that's downtown on a utility pole can often be something associated with illicit activities of one kind and another. So just like Mom said, you're not going to, don't go down a dark alley. Just stick to the well-lighted streets. There's another space, Bellevue Gardens. If you walk around Bellevue Gardens, they have these next to the plants, and you go and learn more information about the plants. In my opinion, you should just have that same information printed on a sign next to the plant, but they didn't ask me. Realtors often use these now, so if they're out of a piece of paper in the realtor box, you just go to a little QR code and it gives you the information about the house. So all you do is you open your camera, point it at the thing, and then tap on where to go. One last piece of using a QR code now is very timely, and that is getting your digital verification for your COVID vaccine on your phone. Now, lots of people have taken a picture of your card, which is fine, but it can be it takes a little time to go into your pictures and find that picture. If you do it that way, at least click that picture, make it a favorite so it's easier to find. But very, very simple way to be able to get to it and have it be clear for all kinds of organizations to read is to get it put in your wallet, this wallet, your Apple Wallet. Again, it's one of those things that's on all the phones. I personally don't use it for stuff really, but I use it for this. I will give you the full steps. We can't do it right now, but I'll show you the full steps. Here's what the outcome looks like. When I tap on this, here's the Apple yada yada stuff up here. I guess I can close that. I don't want an Apple credit card. Here is my COVID vaccine. And because I got it in 2 different states, because I got it during my Thanksgiving trip, these 2 different states. If I'm with something that has a QR scanner that they need to scan to verify, this is it. So this is issued by Washington State and issued by the state of California. So this is very official. This is more official than a picture of a card, right? So how would we go about getting that? They make it actually pretty easy. What they don't make it easy to do is combine 2 states into one. So my advice is don't do that. I'm going to show you the instructions include the website where you have to go. So you have to go to it's very simple though, very simple and quick. I include this address in your notes, waverify.doh.wa.gov. Don't worry about writing it down. It's in the notes. But you want to be very careful that you are really going to this website, because there is a scam company that it uses WA Verify by itself, and it's a scam place. So don't, make sure that you are literally at the state of Washington. And this looks the same in California too. It just says California at the top. All you do is put your name, address, birthday, your mobile phone number, and a 4-digit PIN that you're going to use just this once. They will text it to your phone. They will text you this little link and a QR code. You will tap on it and say, add to Apple Health and Wallet. Let's see, there's some exact words. The exact words are like, choose in the next screen. They're going to say, do you want to get this as an email, or do you want compatible with Apple Health? And you want it compatible with Apple Health. And then when you get it, you're going to tap add to wallet, and the instructions are there. So I will show you again. It is visible, not just on my Apple Wallet, but in that health app that we started with way in the beginning. Let's see, are you seeing my phone? Okay. In that health app, which is, I have to say, it's got a lot going on here. It's got there's a lot going on here. On browse, I can scroll down to immunizations, and it shows my COVID-19 vaccines. So this is a little bit more detailed. I think I would use this maybe if I was at the doctor's office and I needed to get my exact dates or whatever. And if I'm going into a restaurant or something, I'm just going to do that and tap that. Very good, very official. And how easy is that? And we wouldn't really know about it. So I think I'm going to, I'll leave this on in case somebody asks me a question that requires me showing on the phone. But I think I'm open now to questions, and we have a few questions in chat. I'm going to need a minute to make this big enough where I can begin to see people. And please don't hesitate to ask questions. Like, don't think, oh, nobody, that's silly to ask this. It's never silly. These things were designed by brilliant 24-year-olds who live in San Francisco, who grew up being native speakers of mobile phones, right? For everybody else, this is not really, everything isn't intuitive. So don't hesitate to ask any questions. And let's look at some of the questions we've got in chat, if we do.
Yeah, it looks like there's a couple.
Okay. Should we be watching this on the phone or the computer? Oh, well, hopefully that got worked out, because that was originally. Have your phone close by. Names on my list under the medical ID and date are not accurate. So if that question was about emergency, was when it said names under my medical ID and date, I'm going to look and see if what you were talking about was these names, your emergency contacts. Yes. In fact, oh my gosh, I'm glad you said that. I was teaching a class on this topic this week, and a woman had Pine Lake pizza in here, and she said, I have no idea how Pine Lake pizza is in my emergency contact. And we were laughing because, you know what, it happens. Who knows how it happened? We don't know how it happened. But if you have Pine Lake pizza, I would suggest deleting it. As I showed you, you can, and you can see on my phone, if you tap that red thing, that red minus, if you're in the edit mode. So I've hit edit and down to my people. If I hit minus, I can delete, but I don't want to. I love him, and he's going to take care of me if something happens. So change those. Make sure they're accurate. Do not have Pine Lake pizza. If the QR code is in my photos, how do I get it into the wallet? The QR code is in my photos. I'm not sure because I'm not sure how that, you can, yeah, I would have to play with that a little bit. I think you could probably tap the photo and pull up and see if it allows you to do that. Otherwise, I think you're going to need to get that QR code again. I don't know enough about that specific situation too. How do I take a screenshot? Well, if you're talking about a screenshot on your phone or a screenshot, if you're talking about a screenshot on the computer, I guess it's already, each computer is different. But to take a screenshot on my phone, I have each of our phone models is different. For me, it's a quick pinch of the top button and the side button. I think if you have an iPad or an older phone, I think you, if I'm remembering correctly, you hold down the physical button at the bottom and a quick tap at the top. But that's a little out of scope for this. How much do I charge for individual help? If so, how do you make an appointment? I will point you to my website, or my phone number is, my phone number shows here, 425-298-6812. This isn't a selling, I'm doing this for Era Living, so it isn't really a selling thing, but you can feel free to contact me. I actually do this for a living. How do I access the wallet app without credit card stuff? I don't have the credit card stuff in there. So you just, you have to have some credit card signed up for your phone with your Apple account, because they make you have to show that you can charge some money in there. You are getting, tap wallet and go through whatever steps. If they're doing the introduction, just do whatever, next, pass. And you could just do this. You don't have to, you're not obliged to put credit cards in there. Are we getting a hard copy? I assume, Julie, that Era is emailing the notes.
Yes. Yeah, we'll be able to email each of you a hard copy of the presentation today.
How do we get to the scanner? The scanner was in the Notes app. So if you look on my page, Notes is that. Notes looks like this. Looks like, I guess they're trying to make it look like a notebook. Notes. Go down to the bottom right and hit New. The pencil and paper. And then you tap the camera icon. And then you tap Scan Documents. That is so, to not have to have one of those big scanners. And then, you don't use those scanners very often anymore. They take up so much space. How do I measure a regular app instead of going to the app library? So make sure that it's not already on your phone somewhere. They start out on your phone. So make sure that it isn't already there. Let's see. You could drag it. So did you see how I dragged Facebook? So if you're in the app library, you can hold your finger down. That's another one I don't have up. You can make it so that you take, it's outside of the scope of this class, but you can make it so that an app is still on your phone. You just don't see the icon on the screen. I don't know which ones I don't have on the screen anymore. Let's do Snapchat. This little yellow ghost. I'm going to hold my finger down. Let's see. Open social. Yeah, okay. So this Snapchat, this little white ghost, is something that I don't have on my desktop anymore. I'm holding it down until it shakes, and I'm bringing it, letting it go, and hit done. Now it's back on my thing. And when I'm done with this talk, I'm going to have to delete them. I'm going to hold it down, and I'm going to say, I like to hold it down all the way. hit the little minus. Do I want to delete the app or just delete it from the screen? I like to just delete it from the screen. That way I can still find it. It's still on my phone, but I don't have to look through the icon. Okay. So that's how you, when you say I make it measure a regular app instead of going to the app library. So you're basically just moving the little icon. The icon is just the way you see it. Do I do PCs and micro? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, I do. Very much. And online accounts. Biggest problem people have is people need someone who helps with their online accounts, your insurance company account. I work extensively with widows whose husbands were the ones who handled the computers and the finances, and who need a companion to handle that. And I see there are a number of gentlemen on this call. So if you can know that somebody is going to have to handle those finances and computer things, and the more in shape, the more organized that stuff is, the better, because when there's a widow who all of a sudden has to deal with the computer and the finances, I love doing that help, but boy, it can be emotionally hard. How do we get the Measure app? It's not on my phone. Some phones are not going to have it because your phone doesn't have the internal hardware, but here's a way to look. It's part of Apple, so you can feel very comfortable going to look for it. You look, I'm so glad, these are great questions, by the way, and we have enough time. On your phone, you have something called the App Store. On your phone, you also have something called the Apple Store. Who thinks of this? Who thought that was a good idea? You don't want to go to the Apple Store. You go to the App Store. And I think of it as the one with popsicle sticks. To me, these look like 3 popsicle sticks a kid put together in camp. Okay. You go to the App Store, not the Apple Store, even though they're both by Apple. The App Store, this is not in your notes. Go to the App Store. This is only, if you're somebody who already has this app on your phone, don't even worry about this. Down in the bottom corner, bottom right-hand corner, there's a little magnifying glass that says search. And now up here in the window, I'm going to tap the word measure and then tap search. So what you're going to see, just like anywhere you go, the first thing you see is an ad. Look, use this blah, blah, blah thing, right? Well, I don't want the blah, blah, blah thing. I want the one that comes with Apple. Here we go. It's called Measure. It's in Utilities. If you don't have it, it might say Get. If you have had it and you deleted it, it might have a little cloud with a down arrow, meaning you need to download it again. But just make sure when you do it, I tap on it, I can see that this is made by Apple, right? You can see it's made by Apple. So I can download this and get this for no problem. In fact, there's that little, oh yeah. Mine says open because it knows it's on my phone. If you see the word open, it is already somewhere on your phone. Okay. All these other ones, nothing wrong with them. It's just, why not use the free one that you get? Here it is. And it could be if your phone is, if your phone is a phone that can't handle it, it doesn't have that internal little gyroscope. There's a little gyroscope here, little tiny, tiny gyroscope. If you don't, your phone may not be able to do it if it's a much older phone. But somebody has, Julie, I'm okay with taking some voice questions. I see somebody who has a hand up. I don't know if you're okay with voice questions. If somebody wants to unmute, we have a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay,
somebody has Fire Tablet. I'll click to ask to unmute. I don't know if you meant to put a hand up, but whoever's on a Fire Tablet has a hand up.
You answered my question. Thank you.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, I think sometimes those little reaction things they stay up there. If anybody else has a question they'd like to ask by voice, you can unmute yourself if you know how. If not, wave your hand wildly, and Julie or Stephanie or myself will click ask to unmute, and you have to then say unmute. We can't unmute you. We can, yes, Robert.
What is Dark Sky app?
Dark Sky app is not something that's built into Apple. It's one I bought. But what's funny is that Apple bought that company. So it's actually owned by Apple now. So it's a weather app, and I love the way it looks. I love how it gives me hour by hour. I can choose temperature. It feels like, and oh my gosh, look at these numbers, you guys. Aren't we glad to see these up in the 40s and 50s? The rain probability, the precipitation rate. I can look at, for the next week and, look at what they anticipate it to be. Of course, as the closer you get, the better, the more accurate it is. So it's a weather app. Apple also has its own weather app, and they're beginning to integrate some of these things, but I don't, Apple bought this company. It was like a $2 or $3 purchase, and I love it. But when Apple bought the company, I thought, oh, I wasted $2 or $3 because they're just gonna now, for some reason, can you imagine? They want you to spend another $2 or $3, You can't imagine. So anyway, I really like Dark Sky, but it doesn't come with your iPhone, and it's not free, but you just pay once. And I don't know how much it costs now, maybe up to $4 now or something.
It is $4. I just looked it up.
Is it? Of course, sure. It didn't used to be $4, but the price of pixels, that goes up and up every year. Any other questions in our quick time? And you are welcome to contact me at my website or phone number or email me.
Thank you so much, Bridget. This is such useful information. Some of this stuff I had no clue existed.
Right? A lot of folks don't. A lot of folks don't know about the scanner or the level. And I
Wow.
want to know everybody having a good time walking around their house going, okay, I think it's level. You know what? We're in a pandemic. It's winter. This is that kind of fun, right? We have to hunt hard for our fun. Leveling pictures is just fine.
Yeah. Do you do any work with Apple Watches?
Yes,
Yay.
Apple Watches. So I do, in fact, I did for another Era Living residence, using your Apple Watch and your phone for health, because your
Yeah.
Apple Watch, actually, some Apple Watches have that hard fall. This
Mhm.
this is not the newest one. This is the last one, but it has the thing where if I fall, I can set it up. So if I fall, it starts to ring me and it starts to buzz me. And if I don't answer in 10 minutes or whatever, it contacts my emergency contacts, my sons, and it calls 911. So between the two, I don't want to say it's a life alert, but it has a lot of the functionality. Plus, it tells me to get off my behind and walk around.
Sure does.
Messenger versus text for non-iPhone folks. I don't know that question, exactly the space of that question, but I do know when you message somebody, when you message somebody and it shows up green on your side, it means they don't have an iPhone. If it's blue, they do have an iPhone. And one more quick question from Charles, and maybe we'll go. I think Charles has a hand up and we can ask him.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Could you please tell me again how to activate the recognition of the QR code? I think you said turn on the camera. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then
Open your camera and point it at it.
And then is any other button necessary to push in order to activate send me to the
Yes.
website?
Yeah, it literally will say right on. You turn on the camera, you point it at it, and it'll just say the website right there. I'll give you another real quick. I mean, it used to be, oops, that's the wrong side. Bisquick. There's Bisquick. See how it says bisquick.com in yellow?
Ah, I got it.
And I just tap on that.
Awesome.
Boy, do I want dumplings. Oh, and the recipe, I looked at the recipe and they're like, it takes 5 minutes. But they don't tell you how to make the stew. They just, the dumpling is just some water and some Bisquick. Yeah, it's the goodies underneath it. All right.
Great. These have been great tips. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you. Hope you get some value, a little extra value out of your expensive iPhone.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks, Charles. All right, well, I think that does it. Thank you so much. This was super interesting.
Sure thing.
Maybe we'll do a part 2 someday when we can get deeper into it. It's fascinating stuff.
Great.
So again, everyone will be emailing you the paper version of this, so you'll be able to study it and get hopefully some good stuff set up on your iPhone. So thanks again, Bridget. We really appreciate you.
Okay. Thank you
right.
so much.
See you later, everyone.